A major story has come out of the CIA Director's Office as well as the FBI today. Both are about former FBI directors lying to the American people in order to screw over Donald Trump and his family. Lara Trump is seriously considering a run for the open Senate seat in North Carolina, and President Trump says he's all in, full endorsement. Joy Reid, who was fired from MSNBC for crazy comments, is now saying that President Trump is lying to America in order to put brown people in concentration camps. Thank you so much for liking and sharing these videos. Let's jump right into the news update. President Donald Trump recently toured the newly built Migration Detention Center in Florida's Everglades, now informally dubbed Alligator Alcatraz, built in just 8 days at the remote Dade Collier Training and Transition Airport. The facility was created to detain, process, and deport criminal illegal immigrants quickly. Surrounded by alligators and snakes, the site was deliberately chosen to make escaping nearly impossible while having an airport to fly illegals out of the country quickly. During the visit, President Trump joked that if you wanted to run away from an alligator, maybe you should zigzag in order to slow it down. However, now scientists are debating this, saying, actually, President Trump is wrong. You should run in a straight line and put as much distance between you and the alligator. The site includes 3,000 beds, 11,000 foot runway, and will cost about $450 million. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and DHS Secretary Kristi Noem joined the president. President Trump personally thanked Ron DeSantis for his efforts and called him a friend, saying that they've had their issues in the past, but doesn't expect there to be issues going forward. Now, Joy Reid has come on saying that this is white supremacy, that this is not about keeping America safe. This is about rounding up brown people in order to put them in concentration camps. Let me pull that up and we'll watch it together.
I had to forget about him, but Ron DeSantis is still governor of Florida. He took the Comfy Couch hosts on a tour of the concentration camp that he's building in Florida in order to round up people, brown people, and throw them in a camp because he doesn't want them in Florida. Surprise, surprise, the economy of Florida is going to be severely harmed by rounding up brown people who, by the way, all over this country, Latinos are afraid to go to work. Anybody who is perceived or looks Latino is afraid to go to work. I know people who are...
All right, let me know in the comments, do you think that this is all about racism and racial profiling, replacement theory, trying to make white great again? Or is this about rounding up illegal immigrants? Because from what I'm reading, they're sending people back to Nicaragua, back to Venezuela, back to Africa, back to China, back to Russia, back to Ukraine, back to parts of Europe. It doesn't matter where you came from or your skin color. If you came into the country illegally, you will be removed from the country. Now, earlier today, a U.S. District Judge, Randolph Moss, an Obama-appointed judge, blocked President Trump's policy barring illegal immigrants who cross the U.S.-Mexico border from seeking asylum. Judge Moss ruled that President Trump lacked the authority to bypass Congress's immigration laws, dealing a significant blow to the Trump agenda to secure the border. The decision followed a lawsuit by the ACLU and Las Americas Immigrant Advocacy Center, challenging Trump's restrictive asylum policy. Judge Moss stayed his order for 14 days, allowing the Trump administration time to appeal the decision. Stephen Miller of the White House criticized the ruling, arguing it declares future illegal aliens as a protected global class entitled to entry into the United States whenever they want. All they have to do is say, I'm seeking asylum. Now, on X, this sentiment was echoed. accusing Obama Judge Moss of overstepping his authority and obstructing Trump's efforts to enforce immigration law, with some citing Justice Alito's warning about judicial overreach. This ruling highlights ongoing tension between Obama-appointed judges and President Trump's desire to keep the country safe and shut down the border. All right, another big story. Today, CIA Director John Ratcliffe declassified a CIA report exposing that former FBI Director James Comey, CIA Director John Brennan, and DNI Director of National Intelligence James Clapper deliberately corrupted the 2016 Trump-Russia investigation. So not only did they set it up and let Obama know in the White House they were doing this, when the actual investigation started, they conspired to corrupt the data that the FBI was using in their investigation. The report, a tradecraft review of 2016 intelligence community assessment, revealed multiple procedural anomalies in the investigation's process, including a rushed timeline, the exclusion of 13 other intelligence agencies, and excessive involvement by agency heads. So the top people put themselves on this case and then were blocking everyone else from being able to keep everything kosher. Now, despite knowing the Steele dossier was discredited, Brennan insisted on its inclusion, undermining the ICA's credibility. John Ratcliffe stated, "This was Obama, Comey, Clapper, and Brennan deciding we're going to screw Trump, aiming to frame Donald Trump with false Russian collusion narratives. The report suggests their actions, driven by political motives, stifled analytic debate and sidelined key experts, violating tradecraft principles." Now, let me know in the comments, not all of this information is new, but the fact that even during the investigation of Mueller, they were behind the scenes blocking and setting things up and lying. I want to know from you guys, shouldn't these men be immediately arrested and investigated and put through the court system? Like, they deserve their day in court, but you got to get them to court. I mean, it's so obvious. What is the point of releasing these damning reports if nothing happens to these people? So it's pretty obvious from start to finish, the heads of the intelligence agencies and the president, Obama, they were all in on trying to screw over Trump and his family. Now, sticking with the Trump family, Lara Trump, former RNC co-chair and daughter-in-law of President Donald Trump, is seriously considering a run for North Carolina Senate seat following the announcement that Senator Thom Tillis would retire. In an interview with Breitbart News, editor-in-chief Alex Marlow, Lara Trump confirmed her interest, saying she envisions herself as a senator and would love to serve if the timing works for her family. She criticized Thom Tillis as a RINO-esque who opposes Trump and all that he does. All that he does. Now, according to sources, President Trump supports her potential candidacy and has given her the right of first refusal. Now, current RNC chair Michael Whatley is also considering running for this Senate seat, but is allowing Lara Trump to make the first move. This is a really big deal. Now, over on CNN, top Democrat election experts say that Republicans lose sleep at night trying to figure out ways to screw over their own voters. Let me put this up on the screen and then we will watch it together.
Also, there's something in the Republican DNA. Okay, if you're a Republican, Congress, you lie awake at night, unable to sleep, worried that somewhere, someone who's a working person is getting health care. This will be the biggest cut in Medicaid in American history. Medicaid is very popular. By the way, Republicans carried people on Medicaid. They won their votes. And this is what gets me. Smart politicians reward people who vote for them. Great politicians reach out to people who didn't vote for them and bring them in. But stupid politicians punish their voters. This bill is a political suicide note for the Republican Party. Last time they tried this, the Democrats won 41 House seats after Trump's first midterm. They'll exceed that this time. 489 days. They'll do better than 41 seats. This is absolute death knell for the House Republicans. Maybe Senate too.
I should have started my remarks by thanking you, because it was President Bill Clinton in the 90s that thought of work requirements for Medicaid.
But two-thirds of people on Medicaid already work.
Which is all we're doing here.
They already do it. They already do it. We did it.
If you want to get up and go to work, you're going to get your Medicaid. And if you're an illegal alien, you're not going to get your Medicaid. Everybody else is going to be fine.
14
it's
million
generational
people.
Welfare reform built on your all's ideas. So I thank you. I sincerely thank you.
In Kentucky, which I love. I'm a Kentucky colonel. You're a Kentucky citizen, but I'm a colonel.
I'm also a colonel.
I love your comment. Love it.
All right, so let me know what you think. This Democrat election expert is predicting that Republicans it's not going to be close. They're not going to have a 3 or 4 seat margin majority. He's saying he believes that they're going to lose over 41 seats because of this Medicaid situation. Doesn't care what Trump did on the border, doesn't care that he's shut down 6 wars, that he bombed Iran, that the economy's better, that they've brought in over $120 billion in tariffs, that they're renegotiating with all global leaders on trade. He says this one situation will be the downfall of the Republican Party. Now, cutting Medicaid is getting a lot of attention. Let me know in the comments if you will personally be hurt by this situation. It does appear it will remove 1.4 million illegal immigrants and will remove over 5 million middle-aged Americans that are able to work but are choosing not to because the Biden administration allowed them to go on to Medicaid. Now, this is where it gets a little bit sneaky, right? So Democrats approved all these people that in Trump 1 would never have been allowed on Medicaid. And now that they're removing them, they're saying, look at him, he's a bad guy. But let me know your thoughts down below. All right, now there's some breaking news coming out of Senator Chuck Grassley's office about China rigging the 2020 election for Joe Biden. Now, if you've been following the channel, I told you about how Kash Patel revealed hundreds of thousands of fake driver's licenses, hundreds of thousands of fake ballots pre-filled out for Joe Biden. Declassified FBI documents revealed by Senator Chuck Grassley reveal the FBI purposely suppressed an investigation into the alleged Chinese interference in the 2020 U.S. presidential election to protect then-Director Christopher Wray. The allegations detailed in an intelligence information report from the Albany field office claimed the Chinese Communist Party manufactured fake driver's licenses to facilitate fraudulent mail-in ballots on behalf of Joe Biden. Despite initial credibility, the probe was halted on September 25th, 2020, one day after Christopher Wray testified to Congress that no coordinated voter fraud efforts had been detected. Internal emails show FBI headquarters blocked the IIR release, citing it would contradict Christopher Wray's sworn testimony. Senator Grassley criticized the FBI's actions as politically motivated, accusing Christopher Wray's leadership of prioritizing image over national security, lies over truth. Current FBI Director Kash Patel declassified the documents, fueling calls for accountability. Mike Benz and others have expressed outrage, alleging a cover-up to shield Christopher Wray and Joe Biden. The oversight project referred Christopher Wray to the DOJ for potential criminal charges, including false testimony to Congress. The revelation highlights concerns about FBI politicization during an election period. Now, this is so disappointing because Christopher Wray, he lied to Congress about election interference from foreign nations. Then the FBI, they stopped on a dime. They said, oh, wait a minute. We have all of this evidence that China is working overtime to get Joe Biden elected. But we can't undermine the director of the FBI. Therefore, we'll shut it down and we'll continue the lie that they were trying to unseat President Trump and install Joe Biden. Now, what I want to know is, when will former FBI Director Christopher Wray be forced to testify and be investigated. I mean, sheesh, I started this broadcast with former FBI James Comey screwing over Trump, and now Christopher Wray was doing it too. Really makes you wonder what else they've lied about. I mean, we know that they were lying about the January 6th narrative, but let me know in the comments, should both of these FBI directors face consequences for their lies to Congress and the American people? If you want that, I want you to type yes. And if you don't, I want you to type no. While you're doing that, let me tell you about today's video sponsor. If you give your body what it needs, the immune system can take care of you. That's how God and nature designed our bodies. And I want to tell you about a way to raise your happiness levels, your immunity, your bloating, your waistline. All of these things improve when you take kimchi. This is Kimchi One by Brightcore. They've been a sponsor of the channel for many, many months. I take this. My family takes this. My 11-year-old who had bowel issues, we're able to clear these up with kimchi. Now, there's good bacteria and bad bacteria in your gut. You have to flourish, nurture, give life to the good bacteria. In each capsule of kimchi is 900 strains of the good bacteria. You got to check them out. They're absolutely amazing. Now, if you go to mybrightcore.com/kimchi or snap the QR code, you're going to get 25% off. But you guys are smarter than that. Call them right now, 888-908-4425. Get up to 50% off plus free shipping. Do your gut a favor. Do your health and your happiness a favor. And do your wallet a favor. Call them at 888-908-4425 for up to 50% off plus free shipping. All right. Now, RFK Jr. and Dr. Jay Bhattacharya are starting to release FOIA requested documents about COVID and specifically Dr. Fauci. Suddenly, Dr. Fauci's back in the news. If you watched my broadcast last night, RFK Jr. wants a commission of truth to expose all of the lies that Dr. Fauci basically pushed on the American people. On top of that, you have somebody running for governor in Texas saying, not only will he be called in, but we will send out the Texas Rangers to arrest him and bring him to Texas. Why is all of this happening? Let me show you what Senator Rand Paul has to say, and then we'll discuss it further.
I've been trying for over 3 years to get non-classified records about the decision to fund the research in Wuhan, and it's been denied. But I can tell you, under Secretary Kennedy, under Jay Bhattacharya, the records are beginning to flow. And what we're discovering is, yes, they did debate over whether or not it was gain of function. Fauci said everybody said it was not gain of function. Well, we're going to get to the bottom of this. And ultimately, Dr. Fauci is going to need to come back in and explain why he made this decision. There ultimately will be an interview, either voluntarily or involuntarily. If he won't come, he will have to come back and explain to the American people why he decided to fund this research in China. This may be one of the greatest medical errors in modern history. And he bears a large part of the responsibility for this.
Okay, so for 3 years under the Biden administration, they've been blocking FOIA requests, which is against the law. Protecting Dr. Fauci, giving him this pardon all the way back to 2014. Just absolute craziness. Well, now that there's a new sheriff in town or a new NIH person in town, a new HHS secretary in town, this information is going to be coming out. And from what they've already released, it does not look good for Dr. Fauci. No wonder they recommended that Biden give him a full pardon for multiple years. Paramount Global has settled a $20 billion lawsuit with President Donald Trump against CBS News, editing the 60-minute interview with Vice President Kamala Harris during the 2024 election in order to avoid making her look stupid and in order to help her beat Donald Trump. Announced yesterday, the settlement requires Paramount to pay President Trump $16 million. Trump says, I'm glad I won, but I don't want or care about the money. So he's donating it to his future presidential library. President Trump claimed the network's editing amounted to election interference, a charge CBS denied, calling this lawsuit meritless. However, they're about to pay up big time. The agreement also obligates CBS to release future transcripts of presidential candidate interviews, allowing for possible redaction only if it is deemed national security. The settlement is seen as a smart move as Paramount clears the way to merge with Skydance Media. Okay, in the Sean Diddy Puffy Combs trial, where he was arrested on sex trafficking, he is walking away scot-free from 3 of the charges, but not 2 of the charges of transportation for the purpose of prostitution. Sean Puff Daddy Combs could potentially serve up to 20 years in prison. Now, lawyer Alan Dershowitz believes this will be overturned in the appeals court, while others say whether he's in jail or out of jail, his problems aren't over, as it's been revealed that over 70 civil lawsuits have been filed against the former rap mogul. Yikes. In some international news, President Trump continues to demonstrate strong leadership on the global stage. President Donald Trump announced that Israel has agreed to a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza and urged Hamas to accept the deal and end the conflict. On Truth Social, President Trump stated, "My representative had a long and productive meeting with the Israelis today in Gaza. Israel has agreed to the necessary conditions to finalize the 60-day ceasefire, during which time we will work with all parties to end the war. The Qataris and Egyptians, who have worked very hard to help bring peace, will deliver this final proposal. I hope for the good of the Middle East that Hamas not only takes this deal, but that they do it before things get worse. Thank you so much for paying attention to this matter." So this is a big deal. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be something that will be very, very important. A lot of people want this Gaza situation over with. They want the people protected. They want Israel to back off. It's gone from defending yourself to maybe overreaching. At least that is the online public sentiment. All right, that is my update for today. Before you go, I'm going to put a video right here where RFK Jr. drops several bombshells on Tucker Carlson. You need to know about this. If you have children or grandchildren or someone with autism or someone with chronic illness, this is the video to watch. Thank you guys. Hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.